Hello, this is Spellbinder's report on the unfiltered news from the reality zone, compiled by G. Edward Griffin, the man who wrote Creatures from Jekyll Island. Yes, you too can know about these headlines. This explains everything. Prosperity just around the corner, and on the other corner, prosperity just around the corner. You are here. It's just wrong and unreal. Egypt Mubarak resigned as president after 18 days of mass demonstrations in opposition to a stark economy and government corruption. As usual, the people are glad to get rid of a hatred regime, but pay little attention to the new one, thinking that any opponent of the old regime must be good. Unfortunately, the new regime likely will be just as corrupt, if not more so. Opposition leader Biaradi, who was covertly supported by the U.S., has strong ties to the UN, which itself is a bastion of corruption. We will see. Yahoo, February 11th. U.S. trade deficit widens to $40.6 billion in December. In 2010, the deficit rose 32.8, and in 2011 promises to be higher. Mainstream economists claim that this is a good thing because it will make the U.S. goods more competitive in the world market. If the U.S. goods become more competitive, it will be because they are priced in terms of dollars, which have become so abundant around the world that they have lost value in the terms of purchasing power. In that case, American manufacturers who receive these declining value dollars will fail to make a profit and be put out of business, unless of course they raise prices, which will make them non-competitive again. This is the law of supply and demand, which apparently the mainstream economists seldom consider. Bottom line, continuing and growing trade deficits are bad for the economy. Yahoo, February 11th. The U.S. Department of Energy announces plans for massive closures of coal-driven electrical generating plants based on the new Environmental Protection Agency restrictions. Increased power outages are inevitable. Yes, there'll be so much more. This is in the name of fighting the lie, global warming, of course, and the long march against the American economy continues for the shutdown of America in the next few months. February 10th, Prison Planet. IMF issues new report similar to the one last year, calling for the U.S. dollar to be replaced in international trade by special drawing rights, the SDRs, which are an exchange currency based on a basket of international currencies. That means they want to replace the dollar because it is rapidly losing value. The reason it is losing value is that it's created by political decree and without backing. So they want to replace it by a pool of currencies from many countries, each of which is created by political decree and without backing. That, of course, will not fix the problem, but it will be a major step towards the creation of a world currency and an end to national sovereignty. Without its own currency, the U.S. will no longer be an independent nation. Get ready. U.S. Trade Chief urges Europe to remove import restrictions against genetically modified food. Genetically modified poisons. Many European countries banned the poisons in response to opposition from consumers. Meanwhile, Monsanto, the largest manufacturer of the GMO poison seeds, pursues legal avenues to bypass the law. Do you suppose that Monsanto, being a U.S.-based company with a powerful Washington lobby, may have some bearing on why the U.S. trade chief is spearheading a move that will generate billions of profits for the company? Raw story, February 10th. Babies fed on formula milk are 600% more likely to become a beast by age 3 than those who are breastfed. They also are healthier using breast milk and better able to resist disease. But no, with feed-em milk, it has all types of hormones in it and growth hormones that fattens the kids up like it does the cattle. Study finds that antidepressants are prescribed without medical reasons at least 1/4 of the time. Natural news. France, judges go on strike, take to the streets wearing their robes after President Sarkozy criticizes the judicial system for being lax on criminals. Sarkozy's comment was in response to a grisly murderer in which the suspect is a multi-offender recently released from prison. The president may be right about the judicial system, but the suspect has not yet received a fair trial. So it cannot be said that he is guilty of this crime. There is good argument on both sides, but the uproar may have more to do with the politics in re-election than it does with the justice. AP, February 10th, 2011. U.S. Bank in Kentucky confiscated the contents of a woman's safe deposit box, primarily a small collection of silver coins, and now says that they don't know what happened to them. They declined to explain why they did so. There are only 2 legal justifications: 1, directed to do so by the government, and 2, non-payment of rental. She had faithfully paid her rent. It is also known that she was paying rent on the box since April of that year, 2010, to keep the box open. And she found out just in February 9 that it was broken into by the bank to check on paperwork that they had in their bank. They said the money was given to the government. You have to read the article. It's very interesting how they ripped her off. Arab leaders are scrambling to boost salaries and subsidies to head off the uprisings similar to those in Egypt. Subsidies are a form of welfare to favored sectors of the population. These moves will worsen the economic imbalances that are sparking the unrest. $100 of subsidy does no good when taxes and cost of living jump 150. Yahoo, February 9th. U.S. corn reserves are at their lowest in 15 years, and corn prices have doubled in the last 6 months. Get ready for significantly higher food prices in 2011. USA Today, February 9th. Guess why? Because they made fuel out of it. That's right. They gave up the corn to make alcohol, sensohol, for fuel, and said it was a good thing, but it cut down on the food supply and took out the reserves too. Brazil supermodel Galice Banchen denounced conventional sunscreen as toxic and calls it poison. She says she'd never put synthetic chemicals on her body. Admittedly, she was promoting her new line of natural cosmetics, but we think she is correct about the chemicals. Conventional sunscreens contain the toxic additive oxybenzone. Natural News, February 8th. House fails to pass extension of key surveillance components of the Patriot Act. This is a partial victory, but all pieces of the act still can be extended later this year, and likely will be if there is significantly a plausible terrorism scare. Syracuse.com, February 8th. Study finds junk food diets for toddlers are tied to lower IQs in later life. The study did not include the effects of continuing consumption of junk food in later life, but we can well imagine. Raw story, February 8th. U.S. job openings fell for a second straight month. Don't worry, most of this article is devoted to convincing the reader that the recession ended in June of 2009 and that the economy is improving. If they say so, it must be true. Don't you believe the talking heads on TV, too? February 8th. Romania. Witches are targeted with new bill that threatens them with fines or in prison if their predictions don't come true. Critics say the proposal is the rouge to deflect public attention away from political and economic problems. February 8th, Yahoo. U.S. Air Force personnel and their family members, including kids who view WikiLeaks on their home computers, can be prosecuted for espionage. Yes, you heard that. They can be prosecuted for espionage for reading a web page. That's right, February 7th, Wired Magazine. China is buying staggering amounts of gold and silver. Gosh, really? The strategy is to buy shares of ETFs, electronic transfer funds, and then demand physical delivery of what they buy. This could trigger the final explosion of bullion prices because there isn't enough gold or silver available if many people ask for what they bought. It is the same fractional reserve scam used by banks, but this time applied to bullion. When the demand for delivery threatens to ruin the speculators, government puppets will close the bullion markets to protect the public, of course. King World, February 7th. U.S. confined FBI received warning at least one day before Oklahoma City bombing, but did nothing about it. Prison Planet, February 7th. Egyptian police use Facebook and Twitter to profile and track down dissidents before rounding them up. This could be the shape of things to come in other countries. Daily Mail, February 6th. U.S. military buys Gulf seafood that is almost surely contaminated with oil and coexit toxins. This is all about politics and calming public concerns over food safety. We hope soldiers and their families will not suffer from this, but we are not optimistic. Washington Post, February 6th. George W. Bush cancels his trip to Switzerland due to fear of being arrested on counts of torture and war crimes. Who really? Reuters, February 5th. Silver is posed for a significant rise in price. A rare condition has occurred in the market in which the price of physical delivery silver is higher than for the future delivery. That is called zero contango, and occurs when those who have silver would rather keep it than speculate on higher price later. The reason is not because they don't expect the price to rise, but that they think that it may not be available. In other words, stockpiles are gone. Gold and Silver Report, February 6th. Here's another article on this that has more details. Check this out when I put the link to it. Wyoming and Maine cite the 10th Amendment to the Constitution and seek nullifying parts of the misnamed Food Safety Modernization Act. The governors will have the final say, and if the states do nullify, they may have to give up some federal funding. That is always difficult for state politicians to do. So we shall see how dedicated to principle they really are. Natural News. Ben Livingston's father of weather modification tells how the U.S. military created an off-season monsoon in Vietnam as a weapon of war, how the ability to pacify hurricanes was developed years before Katrina, but not used in that event, and how the operation was kept secret for many years. This has profound implications when considering the possibility of similar secret geoengineering chemtrails operations underway today. YouTube, the 5th. Florida judge bans activists from distributing brochures to jury members, advising them that they have a constitutional right to vote not guilty if, in their opinion, the law in question is unjust. This is called jury nullification and is a viable safeguard against tyrannical government and unjust or misapplied laws. Of that news, February 5th. U.S. fracking chemicals used in natural gas extraction contain toxic diesel fuel and have contaminated underground drinking water in 19 states. This is not known until recently because oil companies have been allowed to avoid disclosure under the guise of protecting their trade secrets. This process is known as the Halliburton loophole. February 5th. And that's all I have time for. Read the rest of the story at the link in my description. This is Spellbinder Reports. Good day.